Are you listening to that same album again?
Boring!
No. Turn that shit off. Today, we're getting weird.
Let's get weird, buddy. Let's get weird.
And we're starting with Igorrr. Igorrr is one of the most difficult to pin down bands on this entire list, influenced by equal parts metal, breakbeat, electronic music, and baroque. It's like Aphex Twin exploded at an opera. Nightmarish fever dreams of dark electronica? Check. Frenetic gypsy folk? Check. Schizophrenic avant-garde structures and Patton-esque screeches? Check. Accordion, horns, harpsichord, Middle Eastern instruments, it's all fair game here. They've even done an 8-bitified death metal track featuring Cannibal Corpse's George Fisher. Add some of the craziest music videos around, and there's a reason why Igorrr is one of the first bands that comes to mind when I think weird music.
That's weird.
Next we have Blut Aus Nord. The French black metal scene is known for taking things in a bit of a different direction than their Scandinavian counterparts, and I can think of few who get weirder than Blut Aus Nord. Not to mention each album takes the weirdness in completely different directions. You've got the eerie, Silent Hill-esque ambient and industrial sounds of The Work Which Transforms God and Mort, the warbly, prophetic journey that is the Cosmosophy trilogy, and most recently the Lovecraftian horrors of Disharmonium. Whichever you choose, it's sure to seep into your brain and leave you changed on the other side.
Get out of me! No, nobody's mentioning your head, man.
Then we have Imperial Triumphant. Of course, this East Coast trio had to make the list with their unique take on fusions of black and death metal with highly technical elements of jazz. The result is an almost overbearing barrage of chaotic noise designed to reflect both the grandeur and seedy underbelly of New York City. At times, the music is so dense as to completely overwhelm the senses. Others, the stark contrast of Lynchian minimalist sax solos are even more horrifying in their suffocating, eerie subtlety. All of this not even to mention the ominous fog-soaked stage show with their black cloaks and Art Deco masks. And speaking of masks, let's talk about Portal. This Australian death metal band combines the aforementioned theatrics of Imperial Triumphant and looming dread of Blut Aus Nord for sort of a nightmare version of Gorguts. They too enjoy their Lovecraft lore with their bleak sounds seeming to choke any glimmer of light and leave us in the darkness of the Elder Gods. Guitars sound less like instruments and more like swarming insects and burrowing serpents. The vocals, though often distant and understated, are 10,000 times more harrowing than the loud and brutish death metal vocals the genre has become known for, seeming to call to the listener like the temptations of demons from the void.
I told you, beware.
On the complete flip side of that, though, we have Diablo Swing Orchestra. Weird doesn't always have to mean dark and menacing. True to their name, this Swedish band incorporates elements of swing and symphonic metal for a sound that is almost danceable. Think Primus and Devin Townsend meets 40s nightclub. In other words, they are fun, and one of the more stylistically eclectic bands on this list. Listening to their albums, you'll hear everything from flamenco to baroque music, and most would pray for even a shred of their talent in any one of these genres.
I'm American badass, watch me kick. You can roll with rock or you can suck my dick.
On a somewhat similar note, we need to talk about Mr. Bungle. Mr. Bungle is just one of the many projects of Faith No More's super vocalist Mike Patton, and while it's not one that could exclusively be described as metal, their bonkers career has covered everything from thrash to twisted circus music. And while I've described some of the black metal entries on this list as nightmarish, I feel like Mr. Bungle more accurately captures the more bizarre and nonsensical qualities of our dreams. Those who know, but if you haven't taken the dive yet, this is a hugely important slice of rock and metal history that has influenced everything from mathcore to progressive metal. And as long as we're on the topic of Mike Patton projects, we should also discuss Phantomas. Take Mike's usual experimental vocal gymnastics and add Buzz Osborne of Melvins on guitar, Trevor Dunn of Mr. Bungle on bass, and Slayer's Dave Lombardo on the kit. You know the result is going to be wild. My personal favorite album is Director's Cut, which finds the band covering classic movie themes in a way that only they could. And while most of these songs don't even have words, that doesn't stop Mike from making full use of every sound he can think of. From The Godfather and Cape Fear to my favorite rendition of Twin Peaks' Fire Walk With Me, they turn what sounds like a gimmick on paper into a seriously grand performance. Taking another left turn, let's talk about Oranssi Pazuzu. This Finnish band takes a more psychedelic approach to the genre, putting their own noise-infused spin on elements from the French scene, making for an uncanny atmosphere that perfectly matches this German expressionist silent film style music video. There's a certain tension-ramping quality to their music that leaves me in a constant state of unease. Taking its time to build and build, sometimes to truly violent climaxes, and others simply leaving the listener lingering in their dread. And all the while, once more within compositions that sound unearthly, conjured rather than performed. Time for some real fun here with Sleepytime Gorilla Museum. This is the band I was least familiar with going into this list, and at this point we're entering the realm of projects I struggle to even put into words.
Damn you! You get him the easy ones!
They combine elements of classical, industrial, and art rock that I can most closely describe as Ken Mode and Daughters on methamphetamine. The vocals sound like the ramblings of a deeply disturbed vagrant over churning bass, shrieking violin, wailing brass, accordion, and all manner of percussive instruments. Occasionally even notes of Bjork and Bowie, too. As someone who works in mental health, I'd honestly be interested to hear someone with schizophrenia's take on this music, because at times it's what I imagine it might sound like inside their head. And despite how downright harrowing it can get, there's always a certain haunting beauty to it all. Big thanks to patron and Discord member Zucchini Ramirez for this one. And then of course we have to include Sigh. I've been gushing about this Japanese band all year, but allow me to do it at least one more time. In their 20 plus years of existence, Sigh have tackled seemingly every variation of black metal possible. Each album offers something a little different, from symphonic black metal to infusions of saxophone, 70s psychedelic prog, and anime soundtrack-worthy operatics. There's just something so exciting about listening to their music and the sheer unpredictability of what Mirai will do next, and I can't recommend them enough to those looking to expand their horizons. I recently did a tier list of their entire discography, so if you want to hear more in-depth thoughts and consider the best point of entry, you can check that out right here. And also check out more weird and underground groups in this list right here too, and let me know your other picks down in the comments, but that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.